Continuing from the previous episode 293. Chapter 1222. Old Ghost Jai Xing. This was the first time that Xiao Yan had personally seen Yao Lao ever since the latter was captured back then. That white-haired elderly form no longer had the calmness of back then. All it had was a weakness of an extremely old man. All of these was the source of Xiao Yan's heartache. Yao Lao's life might not be harmed during these years that he had landed in the hands of the Hall of Souls. However, it was clear that he did not live well. When Xiao Yan knelt down on the ground, the eyes of Yao Lao, who was within the light cluster, trembled slightly. After which, he slowly opened them. Turbid eyes looked at the reddened eyes of the young man in front of him. He was startled for a moment before a weak, pleased smile slowly surfaced on his face. His voice was hoarse as he said, "Little fellow, has finally grown up." Xiao Yan could be said to merely be a youth with a soaring zeal and sharp edges when they parted back then. However, within these couple of years, the youth back then had already grown until such an extent. This short sentence caused the heartache Xiao Yan felt to reach its peak. He rubbed his eyes and swiftly adjusted his mood. Currently, he was in an extremely dangerous place and did not have much time to catch up. Everything could be discussed after he successfully leave the Death Soul Mountain range. Xiao Yan slowly stood up. His eyes swept around the light cluster. After which, he extended his hand and placed it onto the light cluster. Vast and mighty spiritual strength immediately surged out from between his brows like floodwaters. An invisible ripple appeared on the light cluster. The ripple spread out from the spot in contact with Xiao Yan's palm before covering the entire light cluster. This spiritual strength possessed some scent of the soul state. Although Yao Lao was currently extremely weak, he still possessed his experience. The moment Xiao Yan displayed his spiritual strength, Yao Lao immediately sensed a familiar feeling from within it. A surprise quickly flashed across his eyes. Immediately, he felt even more pleased. The achievement Xiao Yan currently had far exceeded his expectations. After he was captured back then, the only thing that he was worried was that Xiao Yan would have no one to instruct him, resulting in his state being unable to advance. From the looks of it now, it seemed that had underestimated Xiao Yan's potential. "Break!" Xiao Yan cried out in a deep voice. A cold glint flashed over Xiao Yan's eyes as he looked at the increasingly dense invisible ripples on the light cluster. Boom! After his voice sounded, the light cluster immediately trembled and emitted a bang, and cracked apart amidst a slight sound. "Teacher, are you all right?" Xiao Yan hurriedly helped Yao Lao up from the ground after breaking the light cluster. His eyes immediately looked at the four enormous python-like black chains. His fist involuntarily tightened. "These bastards from the Hall of Souls. These are the lock soul chains. They are specially used to restrain souls. This thing is extremely hard. It is not easy to destroy it." Yao Lao looked at the chains that lingered over his limbs and involuntarily laughed. He said, "However, these fellows really think very highly of the old me. They actually use such a large one." Xiao Yan knitted his brows slightly. His hand rubbed over the metal chain and a kind of dark and dense chillness erupted along his palm. However, these dark and dense aura had just entered his body when it was refined into nothingness by the 3000 lotus heart flame. Sizzle! Xiao Yan's palm grabbed the chain. Purple-brown flame immediately erupted from his palm. After which, it burned the dark black metal chain until the latter emitted waves of white smoke. "This is..." Yao Lao was startled when he saw the purple-brown flame on Xiao Yan's palm. Immediately, he understood something. A joy surged within his eyes as he softly asked, "You have swallowed another heavenly flame?" "Yes, it's the 3000 burning flame." Xiao Yan laughed. "Looks like your encounters during these years are also extraordinary." Yao Lao sighed emotionally. An ordinary alchemist might not even find a single heavenly flame in their entire lifetime. It was unexpected that Xiao Yan was able to find it time and time again. Xiao Yan smiled. The purple-brown flame on his hand was suddenly strengthened. Terrifying high temperature directly burned and scattered the black color on the metal chain. Moreover, those strange symbols on the metal chain were also scattered at this moment. Crack! Xiao Yan clenched his hand violently after the symbols disappeared. The metal chain was forcefully cracked apart. Xiao Yan felt a slight joy when he saw that the 3000 lotus heart flame had such strength. He hurriedly continued in this manner and the three others' large python-like chains were also burned and broken. Xiao Yan removed the burned chains from Yao Lao. Having lost these strange things, the weak expression between Yao Lao's brows was slightly reduced. Although his body was still weary, he was much better as compared to before. Yao Lao gently exercised his wrist. He looked at the strange chains that had finally been removed from his body. He lamented a little at that moment. It was unexpected that he, Yao Chen, would actually really have a chance to escape. Let's go. This Hall of Soul is extremely strange and unpredictable. It is best to leave first. Yao Lao looked around him. This locked soul hall was still filled with a dense, sinister aura. It also emitted a rich scent of death. Xiao Yan nodded slightly. His eyes suddenly glanced at the light clusters that filled the huge hall. A cold glint flashed in his eyes as he said, "Since I am here, I should also destroy this place and allow these souls to escape. This will also create some chaos for the Hall of Soul." Xiao Yan clenched his hand after uttering these words. The purple-brown flame was extended, transforming into a fire whip. The whip shook and it drew an arc across the midair before violently being swung at those black chains in the midair of the large hall. However, these fire whips were about to make contact with the black chains in the midair when the space suddenly solidified. The fire whip appeared to have stuck onto a spatial wall, emitted a clear sound before it rebounded. There are still experts from the Hall of Souls. Quick, leave. Yao Lao spoke in a deep voice. His expression changed slightly when he saw this scene. Xiao Yan recovered almost instantly the moment that invisible spatial wall had appeared. There was no need for Yao Lao's reminder. He grabbed Yao Lao and his body transformed into a thunderbolt that rushed towards the exterior of the large hall. "Ha ha! Yao Chen, you have found a good disciple. He actually really dares to come to my Hall of Souls to snatch a person. Even the old me has to praise this boldness." Xiao Yan's figure withdrew explosively while a laughter suddenly resounded over the interior of the large hall. Immediately, the space where Xiao Yan was withdrawing towards suddenly became distorted and turned into an invisible barrier. Kai! Xiao Yan's expression changed slightly upon sensing the barrier that was formed behind him. His foot stomped on the ground and he forcefully stabilized his body. After which, he raised his head, only to see a grayish-white clothed old man in the midair that was covered with black chains. The latter's feet were stepping on a chain as he smilingly looked towards them. This person is actually also a Dozun? Xiao Yan glanced over and his heart immediately sunk. The thing that he was most worried about had still occurred. The experts from the Hall of Souls guarding this place did not only comprise of the 5 Dozuns from the intelligence that they had gathered. Old Ghost Jai Xing, you are actually also here? Yao Lao looked at this old man. His expression changed slightly as he spoke in a deep voice. "Ha ha, the Hall Chief values you greatly. Therefore, he has also dispatched me here. It is just that you did not discover me." The old man who was called Old Ghost Jai Xing smiled slightly. After which, he looked towards Xiao Yan and said, "Moreover, the old me was planning to fish for a big one." "You knew that I would come?" Xiao Yan asked with a cold smile. "It is something that will happen sooner or later." Old Ghost Jai Xing laughed and replied, "You are the big fish. The Hall Chief's interest in you is even greater than Yao Chen. Of course, I am referring to that key of the Xiao clan. That thing should be with you. Although your father refused to say anything even if he is beaten to death, the most outstanding person in the current Xiao clan is you. It will be safest if the key is placed with you." "Father?" Xiao Yan's heart trembled slightly. A dense killing intent surged within his eyes. These bastards from the Hall of Soul. It seemed that they had hurt all of his kins. "Do not fight with him. Leave first. You are no match for him." Yao Lao spoke in a deep voice when he saw that dense expression of Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan gritted his teeth and nodded. This old ghost Jai Xing always had a smiling manner. However, Xiao Yan could sense that this person was even more terrifying than old Mu Jiyu. Today, he could be considered to have fallen into a truly dangerous environment. If he did not go all out, forget about bringing Yao Lao away, even he himself would end up falling at this place. Since the old me has already revealed myself, how can I allow you to leave safely? Old Ghost Jai Xing laughed. His old white hand was extended from under his sleeves. Vast and mighty black fog surged and instantly agglomerated into 100 feet large black fog handprint. A palm was slammed violently onto Xiao Yan. Hoot hoot. Xiao Yan's expression changed a little upon hearing the frightening rushing wind sound that was transmitted over. His hand seal also began to hurriedly change. Skyfire 3 Mysterious Change. First change. Second change. Third change. A cold cry hurriedly sounded within Xiaoyan's heart. His aura also soared abruptly at this moment. Purple-brown flame spluttered out from his palm and transformed into a fire dragon. It let out a roar and violently collided with that palm. Bang! An earth-shaking explosion resounded within the interior of the large hall. Frightening airwave forcefully broke some of the black chains nearby. Some light clusters were also sent flying. When the light clusters cracked apart, they revealed some spiritual bodies, which faces still had some pain and loss remaining on them. The airwave spread. Xiaoyan also steadily took over a dozen steps back. Blood churned within his body as a solemn expression flashed over his eyes. The strength of this old ghost Jai Xing was really terrifying. Based on his guess, it had at least reached the level of 5 stars. In other words, this old fellow should be the so-called Tianjun from the Hall of Soul. This old ghost has the strength of a peak 5-star Do Zun. Do not fight him head-on, Yao Lao swiftly said after seeing Xiaoyan being forced back. Teacher, enter the ring. Leave the rest to me, Xiaoyan said in a deep voice. Yao Chen was startled when he heard this. He immediately nodded, after which, his body moved and transformed into a light that rushed into the dark black ring on Xiaoyan's finger. If he was at his peak, it would naturally not be difficult to defeat this old ghost Jai Xing. However, his current condition was extremely weak and he was unable to aid Xiaoyan. All he would do was to become the latter's burden. A fierce glint was revealed in Xiaoyan's eyes when he saw Yao Lao enter the ring. No matter who it was that stopped him today, he would definitely bring Yao Lao away from this terrible place. He would kill anyone who stopped him. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Continuing from the previous episode 294. Chapter 1223. Fooled, KK. Are you finally about to go all out and stake your life? The old me really wished to see just whether anyone within the current Xiao clan still possessed the domineering aura from when Xiao Zhan was still alive. Old ghost Jai Xing involuntarily laughed after seeing Xiaoyan kept Yao Lao into his ring. Xiaoyan's expression was cold and indifferent. The vast and mighty Do Qi within his veins were roaring wildly, appearing like numerous fire dragons. The current him was undoubtedly at a state where he had unleashed his strength to its peak after having swallowed the 3,000 burning flame. Of course, he also understood that if he did not unleash all his strength in the face of old ghost Jai Xing's peak 5-star Do Zun's strength, it was likely that he would not even possess the opportunity to attack. Hand the key from the Xiao clan to the old me and the old me can spare your life. Old ghost Jai Xing smiled leisurely and spoke with a faint voice in the face of the increasingly mighty Do Qi from Xiaoyan. With his peak 5-star Do Zun's strength, there was no need for him to even be a little afraid of Xiaoyan. That enormous gap between their class was sufficient for him to view Xiaoyan as an ant. Xiaoyan let out a cold laughter within his heart in the face of old ghost Jai Xing's words. He completely ignored it. His eyes were rotated all around as he searched for a way to break through. Oh, in the case, the old me shall do it myself. Old ghost Jai Xing sighed when he saw this. His hand was spread and his 5 fingers faced Xiaoyan. Immediately, his fingers shook and 5 vicious black fog shot out from the tip of his fingers. After which, it agglomerated into a strange black chain amidst some crashing sound. The chain wrapped around in the midair before emitting a kai sound and directly penetrated into the empty space. Within a blink of an eye, it had appeared above Xiaoyan's head. This sudden thunderbolt-like attack also caused Xiaoyan's expression to change. Silver glow flickered under his feet and he swiftly took a couple of hurried steps back in a manner that was not sufficiently fast. Kai, the chain violently pierced downwards from the midair. After which, it adhered to the front of Xiaoyan and rushed past. Finally, it was ruthlessly inserted into the hard black rocks. It shook slightly and the rocks around immediately cracked, forming numerous crack lines. Your reaction is not bad. Old ghost Jai Xing laughed faintly. He flicked his finger and the chain rose in a lightning-like fashion. It became just like a poisonous snake as it carried a sharp wind that swept towards all the lethal spots around Xiaoyan's body. The chain attacks possessed an extremely frightening speed. Numerous afterimages remained in the sky, causing one to have difficulty defending against them. Clang clang clang. Xiaoyan clenched his hand in the face of this attack by old ghost Jai Xing. The heavy Zan ruler appeared with a flash. The body of the ruler moved, forming some densely packed ruler shadow defense that received all the chain attacks. Clang! The chains heavily pressed onto the heavy ruler. Those waves of frightening force directly caused Xiao Yan's legs to rub onto the ground and form a deep scar. Only that did it gradually stabilized. His hand even vaguely felt a little numb. An expert at the peak of the 5-star Do Zun class is really terrifying. After a brief exchange, Xiao Yan also clearly understood the strength of this old ghost Jai Xing. A solemnness immediately surged within his heart. It would likely not be as easy as he imagined if he wished to successfully free himself today. By being able to receive an attack from the old me with the strength of a 9-star Do Zong. It must be said that you are unique. Old ghost Jai Xing looked at Xiao Yan with a solemn face. He smiled and his body suddenly inclined forward slowly. He was just like a wild beast that was about to eat. However, the old me does not have the time to waste with you. After finishing you off, the old me still needs to finish off those troublesome fellows outside. Old ghost Jai Xing laughed. His foot took a gentle step forward. After which, the space wiggled and his body disappeared almost instantly. Xiao Yan sensed a shriveled hand gently being extended from the empty space beside him the moment that old ghost Jai Xing disappeared. After which, it grabbed at his throat. This dry folded hand might not be covered by any Do Qi, but a dark black spatial scar was being directly formed wherever it passed. Xiao Yan's expression was grave. His footsteps were hurriedly withdrawn and the heavy ruler in his hand was violently hacked downwards in an instant. Flame-splitting tsunami! Xiao Yan cried out furiously in his heart. A ruler glow that was hundreds of feet wide immediately rushed out from the tip of his ruler. After which, it hacked heavily onto the shriveled hand. However, this seemingly fierce wind merely caused the latter to shake a little. Soon after, the hand increased its speed. In a flash, it had already appeared in front of Xiao Yan and was gently slamming towards his chest. This palm was extremely swift. Even with Xiao Yan's speed, he did not possess the ability to dodge it. At this critical moment, his heavy ruler was placed vertically in front of his body. Clang! The shriveled hand gently landed on the heavy ruler and a clear sound immediately appeared. Xiao Yan's expression changed drastically when the two collided. That seemingly skinny firewood-like bone appeared like a mountain. It was incomparably heavy. At the moment of contact, Xiao Yan's hand emitted a slight sound of bone being pressed. Bang! Xiao Yan's legs were deeply embedded into the rock under the frightening force. At this moment, that hard rock was just like bean curd, appearing extremely fragile. Xiao Yan forcefully received this palm from old ghost Jai Xing. The blood within Xiao Yan's body churned even more furiously. His heavy ruler was hurriedly flipped and his feet stepped on the ground. Xiao Yan's body adhered to the ground as he rushed backwards. After which, he stomped on the ground and straightened his body. He looked at the heavy Zan ruler, only to be surprised to discover that a shallow palm imprint was actually being left behind. Although the palm imprint was not deep, it was still quite shocking to Xiao Yan. The heavy Zan ruler had been his weapon all these while. He could not be more certain of the hardness of the latter. However, this old ghost Jai Xing was the first one who was able to leave a palm imprint on it. What a tough fellow. The space a couple of dozens of feet in front of Xiao Yan became distorted. Old ghost Jai Xing's figure slowly appeared. He glanced at the heavy ruler in Xiao Yan's hand and smiled faintly. Xiao Yan's eyes cautiously looked at this old fellow. At this moment, he must first leave this locked soul hall. Things might be much easier once he reached the outside and obtained the help from Little Fairy Doctor and the rest. If he continued to be entangled in this place, he would sooner or later be exhausted to death by this old fellow. Even Xiao Yan, who had activated the Skyfire 3 mysterious change, would not be able to block an attack of that level many times. KK, do not play any tricks. Those are useless in front of absolute strength. Old ghost Jai Xing laughed, appearing to be aware of what Xiao Yan was thinking. After which, his toes pressed on the ground and he charged towards Xiao Yan like an arrow that had left its bow. This time around, the smile on his face had clearly become much denser. Clearly, he did not intend to continue dragging it out with Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan also sensed the change of old ghost Jai Xing. Silver glow flashed under his feet and his body rushed backwards. When he was pulling back, a purple-brown flame swiftly gathered onto his palm. After which, it rapidly transformed into an exquisite fire lotus. A wave of extremely wild and violent energy spread out from the fire lotus. After his spiritual strength broke through to the soul state, the rate at which Xiao Yan agglomerated the fire lotus flame also became increasingly smooth. The fire lotus could be formed with just a thought. Xiao Yan ruthlessly tossed the purple-brown fire lotus towards old ghost Jai Xing after it appeared. After which, his swiftly withdrawing figure became even faster. Bang! The fire lotus suddenly exploded like a thunder when it was only 5 feet away from old ghost Jai Xing. It resounded over the sky and a terrifying fire wave swept out. It shook some of the sky's supporting pillars in this large hall until numerous crack lines that were visible to the naked eye appeared. The entire square was destroyed until it was a mess. Xiao Yan did not relax even a little after the fire lotus exploded. He was aware that by just relying on this kind of angry Buddha lotus flame, it would not be possible to truly kill old ghost Jai Xing. His expectations was not wrong. Soon after the fire lotus explosion occurred, an elder figure slowly walked out from the fire wave. Xiao Yan glanced and found that it was old ghost Jai Xing. However, the latter's clothes had been torn at this moment. At a glance, he appeared a little miserable. Clearly, the might of the fire lotus had exceeded his expectations. You are indeed worthy of being someone from the Xiao clan. With just the strength of a 9-star Do Zong, you were able to display such a powerful attack. Old ghost Jai Xing started at Xiao Yan. A dense expression flashed over his face. Xiao Yan's expression did not change. A glow flashed over his eyes as his foot suddenly stomped onto the ground. His body rose and numerous purple-brown fire glows surged out from within his body and shot out explosively. Clang clang! The fire glow shot out and ruthlessly hacked onto the dense chains that were hanging in the mid-air within the large hall. These chains were not as troublesome as the chains that had trapped Yao Lao. All of them cracked with the flame hacking over them, after which, the countless number of light clusters within the large hall quietly broke apart. Numerous painful and lost-looking souls slowly opened their eyes. These souls were stunned for a moment after they opened their eyes. After which, he suddenly understood something. Immediately, a screech resounded over the place and all of them fled out of the large hall in a chaotic fashion. You are seeking death. Old ghost Jai Xing had a change in expression when he saw that Xiao Yan actually dared to release so many souls. His body moved and transformed into a ray of light that rushed towards the latter. Humph! Xiao Yan let out a cold snort as he watched old ghost Jai Xing rushing over with a killing aura all over his body. He clenched his hand and 3 purple-black beads appeared within it. Surprisingly, it was the fire lightning bead that Xiao Yan had refined using those 3,000 burning flame within the star region. Swoosh swoosh. Xiao Yan swung his arm. 3 fire lightning beads formed a triangular shape as they rushed over towards old ghost Jai Xing. After which, they suddenly exploded when they were around 10 feet from the latter. Bang! A frightening air wave was suddenly blasted apart in the mid-air. Quite a number of those surrounding black chains were broken. Immediately, souls began to dance within the entire large hall. After which, they swarmed and fled out of the hall. Old ghost Jai Xing rushed out forcefully from within the frightening airwave. At this moment, there was vaguely some dense fury on his face. These strange tactics of Xiao Yan caused even him to suffer some loss. Bastard! These souls have all fled. In that case, I will take you as compensation. Star-plucking hand. There was a black vapor lingering over old ghost Jai Xing's face. His right hand had suddenly swelled at this moment. After which, his body moved and he appeared in front of Xiao Yan in a ghost-like fashion. His large hand suddenly grabbed and the surrounding space around Xiao Yan solidified. Immediately, the latter could only just watch this large hand being swiftly magnified in front of him. Little fellow Xiao Yan, it's over. Old ghost Jai Xing revealed a ferocious smile on his face. Immediately, he clenched his hand abruptly. The space around Xiao Yan collapsed almost instantly. When the space collapsed, the blurry blood and flesh that old ghost Jai Xing expected did not appear. That body of Xiao Yan emitted a bang in his eyes and turned into nothingness. This scene caused old ghost Jai Xing to be stunned. Since when did the strength of the star-plucking hand become this terrifying? No, this is a fake. However, this old ghost Jai Xing was also an extremely old and experienced person. He abruptly recovered after being startled for a moment in his head. His eyes hurriedly turned towards the exit of the locked soul hall. A figure had already fled from that spot like an agile monkey. From the appearance of the back, who else could it be but Xiao Yan? The expression of old ghost Jai Xing was so gloomy that it was frightening after he saw Xiao Yan's figure disappearing. He did not expect that he would actually be fooled by a younger generation in such a manner today. Xiao Yan, the old me shall see just where you can run to today. A low and deep furious roar instantly resounded within the interior of the large hall. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Continuing from the previous episode 295. Chapter 1224. Situation. Xiao Yan's body did not pause even a little despite hearing the furious roar that was transmitted over from a great distance. Purple-brown flame lingered over his body, causing him to appear like a fire beast on a rampage. Those remaining guards within the Hall of Soul hurriedly dodged when they saw this fiend charging out. Those protectors that had been killed in Xiao Yan's hands earlier had caused them to be completely frightened. Who would dare to step forward and stop him now? Without anyone stopping him, Xiao Yan's speed was also raised to its peak. He could sense that old ghost Jai Xing was swiftly giving chase. Clearly, that old fellow had been truly infuriated after being fooled by his 3,000 lightning illusionary body. This old bastard, Xiao Yan cursed quietly within his heart. If it was not because of this old ghost Jai Xing, this trip would have progressed extremely smoothly. Unfortunately, the peak of a 5-class Do Zun's strength was sufficient to cause a reversal in the strength of the lineup from both parties this time around. Xiao Yan cursed a little in his heart. After which, he raised his head and looked at the exit a short distance away. His feet suddenly stomped onto the ground and his body turned into a purple-brown light that shot out with a swoosh sound. A couple of extremely fierce and violent force in the sky was violently smashed down as Xiao Yan rushed out of the Hall of Souls. This shocked Xiao Yan while he hurriedly dodged them. His body moved and he quickly rushed to the midair. Only then did he have the free time to watch the situation outside of the Hall of Soul. Currently, the valley was a complete mess. Enormous crack lines like huge savage mouths covered the entire valley. Some of the crack lines even climbed up the mountain slope. Large rocks continuously rolled down from the surrounding cliffs, smashing the valley until it shook continuously, appearing as though an earthquake had occurred. Human figures crossed each other in the midair of the valley. Vast and mighty Do Qi permeated the sky. 10 powerful and frightening auras fluctuated in the sky. In the face of this unprecedented intense battle, the space of this place had become unusually unstable. Numerous crack lines surfaced like large pythons, causing those Hall of Souls protectors to feel a palpitation within their hearts. They did not dare to intervene in a battle at this level. Other than the 5 extremely intense battles in the sky, there was another battleground that had attracted Xiao Yan's attention. It was the spot where Ziyan was located. No elite Do Zun went to disturb this little girl. Hence, she could only go and find some Hall of Souls protectors to vent her anger. The strength of this little girl had undoubtedly soared greatly after being missing for a period of time. However, the strange thing was that Xiao Yan was actually unable to tell Ziyan's actual strength with his spiritual perception. That manner was as though there was something that had completely hid this girl's strength. Although Xiao Yan usually unable to sense it, from the way Ziyan used a palm to strike a protector that had reached the strength of a 6-star Do Zong until he spat out blood and flew backwards, the strength of this girl should be quite strong. Xiao Yan's eyes swiftly swept over the situation in this area. He let out a sigh. From this manner, it seemed that Xiao Yan's group had not fallen into a disadvantage. The 5 Do Zuns on the Hall of Souls side had the strength of 3 stars or so. Hence, other than Tai Jian Zun J, who was barely able to hang on, the remaining 4 all firmly took the upper hand. The person has been rescued. Scatter. In this situation, Xiao Yan no longer had the time to explain anything. He let out a loud cry after discerning the situation. Upon hearing Xiao Yan's cry in the sky, a joy surged up the face of Feng Zun J and the others. However, their opponents had unleashed a wild attacks at this moment, firmly pestering them and causing them to be unable to escape. Xiao Yan frowned tightly as he watched the extremely chaotic battlegrounds in the sky. This kind of situation was far more complicated than what he had expected. Xiao Yan had naturally attracted the attention of some Hall of Soul experts around when he appeared. They might not possess the qualification to participate in the fight above, but they thought that it was possible to use their numbers to delay Xiao Yan. Hence, 3 figures rushed over. The black chains in their hands were like straight sharp spears which pierced explosively towards Xiao Yan's head. "Get lost!" Xiao Yan's expression turned cold as he sensed the attacks of these 3 Hall of Souls protectors. His hand was suddenly extended and he directly grabbed the 3 chains. His hands shook and purple-brown fire dragons roared from his sleeves. After which, they rushed through the chain and heavily struck onto the chest of the 3 Hall of Souls protectors. The bodies of the 3 protectors immediately flew backwards after suffering such heavy blow. Finally, they violently collided onto a stone pillar by the side. The black fog that lingered over their bodies became much thinner in an instant. Those experts from the Hall of Souls around Xiao Yan also had faces filled with shock when they saw the latter randomly defeating the 3 protectors. Their forward-charging bodies hurriedly halted and they no longer dared to easily charge forward. "Since you have come, you can forget about leaving." Xiao Yan had just stepped back after forcing away the 3 protectors when the roof of the enormous hall suddenly burst apart. A figure rose to the sky as a dense cold laughter resounded over the place. "This is bad. That old ghost has come chasing." Xiao Yan's expression immediately changed upon hearing this cold laughter. "Spatial barrier. Seal." Old ghost Jai Xing swept his dark dense eyes over those battlegrounds from the sky. After which, they paused on Xiao Yan's body. The denseness of his face became even riches. Both of his hands swiftly formed some strange seals as he cried out in a deep voice. After old ghost Jai Xing's cry sounded, the space of the valley suddenly began to fluctuate intensely. After which, circular folds spread. They became like clothes stacked onto each other as they were suspended in the empty sky. Old ghost Jai Xing, Feng Zun Jie, who was being entangled with his opponent, also discovered old ghost Jai Xing. His face changed drastically as he involuntarily cried out, "Feng Xian, you really won't give up. This time around, you have even barged into my Hall of Soul." Old ghost Jai Xing's eyes were sinister as he glanced at Feng Zun Jie and said. Feng Zun Jie's expression was gloomy. His palm violently struck onto the honorable elder of the Hall of Soul in front of him, who had reached the strength of a 3-star Do Zun, and forced the latter to take a step back. The current situation had somewhat exceeded their control. The appearance of this old ghost Jai Xing could have considered to have turned the situation of this place around. If something went wrong, it was likely that quite a lot of deaths would occur in this group of theirs today. Once the old me has finished off this little fellow, I will let all of you know that my Hall of Soul is not a place where you can come and go as you please. Old ghost Jai Xing laughed coldly. Immediately, his dark and dense eyes were turned towards Xiao Yan below. His voice was dense as he spoke. "You dare to fool the old me with just the strength of a Do Zong. This is the first time that the old me has met with such a thing." Old ghost Jai Xing stepped gently onto the empty air after his words sounded and walked towards Xiao Yan. Black fog surged out from within his body in all directions. That might cause one to feel shock. The strength of a 5-star Do Zun was indeed unusually frightening. Xiao Yan's expression also changed slightly as he looked at old ghost Jai Xing, who was stepping over the black fog that permeated the sky and arrived with great killing intent. This old fellow was obviously planning to personally kill him. However, with Xiao Yan's current strength, it was impossible for him to truly be a match for old ghost Jai Xing even if he used the Skyfire 3 mysterious change. Of course, this did not mean that Xiao Yan was completely just a pile of meat on a chopping board waiting to be slaughtered. The current him had already completely subdued the 3000 burning flame. He could be considered to be in possession of 4 types of heavenly flame. If he used 4 types of heavenly flames to merge into an angry Buddha lotus flame, that might definitely be far from what the annihilation lotus flame that was created from the life-transforming flame could compare with. However, Xiao Yan required sufficient time to use this thing. With the strength of old ghost Jai Xing, he would definitely not provide Xiao Yan with sufficient time to prepare that kind of great killing weapon. Currently, the elite Do Zuns on their side had already been held back by the honorable elders from the Hall of Souls. The only one who was still free to act was Ziyan. This girl's strength might have currently soared and that her actual form was an ancient void dragon, but she was still young. It was impossible for her to be a match for old ghost Jai Xing. "Let me help you hold him back." While Xiao Yan's eyes were flickering, Ziyan, who was a short distance away, appeared to have sensed his thoughts. Her delicate small body leapt over the midair and appeared in front of Xiao Yan. Her small face was filled with seriousness as she spoke. "Can you do it?" Xiao Yan hesitated for a moment before asking in a worried manner. "Can you still find someone else now?" Ziyan replied without even turning her head. Xiao Yan was speechless. He could only clench his teeth and speak in a deep voice, "Help me buy some time. Be careful. Pull back if you are really unable to do it." Ziyan nodded her small head slightly. Her little hands suddenly formed a couple of strange seals. Immediately, an intense purple light surged out from within her body. Under this purple light, Ziyan's lovely little body suddenly grew rapidly. Within a short couple of breaths, she had turned from a little girl into a tall purple-haired great beauty who appeared extremely sexy. That alluring manner was actually the same as the one that Xiao Yan had seen in the small valley back then. Ziyan pulled a thread of purple hair behind her ear after transforming into this appearance. She turned her head, only to see Xiao Yan's stunned manner. Her pretty face reddened and she immediately glared viciously at him. However, she had forgotten that she was no longer that little girl from earlier. By performing such an expression, she had instead appeared extremely bewitching, causing one's heart to pound. "You have really undergone a big change." Xiao Yan laughed bitterly and shook his head. He immediately inhaled a deep breath of air and swiftly pulled back. His voice was deep as he said, "I'll leave him to you. Be careful." Xiao Yan pulled his hands back while he withdrew. The purple-brown flame appeared. After which, they separated, turning into 3 clusters of different colored heavenly flames that suspended in front of him. While Xiao Yan had moved his hand and prepared a great killing weapon, Ziyan's pretty eyes had also become unusually grave. She firmly stared at old ghost Jai Xing a short distance away. It was possible for her to sense a truly dangerous aura on the latter's body. This time around, it was no longer just a game. In this current situation, Ziyan was also clearly aware that this old ghost Jai Xing was the greatest variable. Little Fairy Doctor and the rest were unable to free themselves. If he was allowed to charge into those battlegrounds, Little Fairy Doctor and the rest would definitely be swiftly defeated. At that time, everything would truly be over. Therefore, no matter what happened, she must hold this old fellow back. She needed to delay him until Xiao Yan successfully unleashed that great killing weapon. Only then would they be able to safely withdraw from this rescue operation today. Otherwise, their group would truly suffer heavy casualties. All the hope was on whether she could buy sufficient time for Xiao Yan. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible.